Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, we are from Group 5 and we will present our presentation about a literary work analysis entitled The Man He Killed by Thomas Hardy. It was analyzed by Muhammad Raden Majid Nisar, Emma Oktavianita Karisma Putri, Hanif Afifah, Neila Amalia Dewi, and Islamiyah Pratiwi Ayu Larasati. The Man He Killed by Thomas Hardy. Had he and I but met by some old ancient inn, we should have sat us down to wed, read many a nipperkin, but ranked as infantry, and staring face to face, I shot as him as he at me, and killed him in his place. I shot him dead because he was my foe. Just so. My foe, of course he was. That's clear enough. Although he thought he could lease, perhaps, offhand like just as I was out of work, had sold his traps, no other reason why. Yes, fine and curious war is. You shot a fellow down. You could treat if met where any bar is, or help to halve a crown.
Poetry form. Two important elements of poetry are stanzas and rhythm. In writing a poem, we divide it into sections called stanzas. Usually, one verse of poetry consists of 4 lines. However, there are also poems in which one verse contains more than 4 lines. First, verses have the same function as paragraph when you write an essay, which serve to spirit the hot topic or ideas present in a poem. The Man He Killed by Thomas Hardy is a poem that uses a temporary form of poetry because it explains the look on the face or human condition that is depicted about the impact of the Industrial Revolution.
Rhythm. The first, second, and last line of each verse are about 6 syllables long. The third line is slightly longer, with 8 syllables. It begins the story of the poetry by illustrating the dark theme of the poem. The next is about rhyme. The poem entitled The Man He Killed consists of vinyl rhyme. The end rhyme is the repetition of the sound that is located at the end of the line. The form of the poem is a dramatic monologue in the voice of a returning soldier. There are 5 stanzas with 4 lines, following the regular form and AB rhyme scheme for each stanza.
Next slide is consonant. The poem used a lot of repetition and parallel sentence structure to emphasize the firings of the speaker and the man he has killed, such as face to face, and I shoot at him as he at me. This is particularly true in the third stanza, when the repetition of the word foe and because add to the internal rhyme of just so to create the impression that the speaker is trying to convince himself. The next slide is imagery. In keeping with the simple form of the poem, there are no similes or metaphors. Instead, the speaker imagines having met his enemy at the pub instead of on the battlefield. The image of the ancient inn gives the sense of a traditional British setting and of a cozy drinks, which contrasts with the reality of the shooting. The dramatic monologue from shows the speaker imagining the backstory for the man he kills, the use of his scenes perhaps, and the effect of the multiple diseases in to create a vivid picture of the speaker thinking and imagining without having any direct description at all.
Figurative language. The use of figurative language has also made the poem sound more beautiful, and the use of such figures also made the poems attract the readers. In the construction of this poem, the poem is aware of using figurative language, and it is used international to strengthen the poem's meaning. In the poem of The Man He Killed, there are allusions in line 3 and 4 in the first stanza. We should have sat us down to wait in line 3 and right many a nipperkin in line 4. In the second stanza, there are metaphor in line 1 and simile in line 3. In line 1, but range as infantry. In line 3, I shot at him as he at me. In the third stanza, there are irony in line 3. Just so my foe, of course he was. In the fourth stanza, there are metaphor in line 2. Offhand like just as I. And irony in line 3. Was out of work hard, assault his trap. In the fifth stanza, there are hyperbole in line 1. Yes, quite and curious where is. And synecdoche in line 4. Help to hold a crown.
Note or tone. The poem of the man he killed explains the author's feeling. It can be seen that the author grew resentful and guilty. The author felt such deep hatred, so he wrote that the soldier killed the man while trying to rest, indicates a jerk in his heart. The author feels guilty for what he has done, and even his mind is messed up due to the war he experienced when he was a soldier. So he killed innocent people who came to war just to serve his nation. He just cursed the fight knowing that it drove people crazy, to the extent that they killed older people easily.
The next is theme. The poem shows a war between people who realize that they shouldn't do that because it seems useless for those who did that, but the conditions around them that force them to do so. Whereas they can do other things like drinking together in a bar, talking at each other, even lend money to each other. Built upon the story consists on the poem. The man he killed represents the senselessness of a war. I think that's all for today's presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.